deal with an eagle flying by the neighborhood and having to politely tell them to go somewhere else.
That's right. Yeah. So, in answer to your question again, Charlotte, yes, we get them menacing, the feathered ones. The bald eagles we have to take particularly seriously, especially this time of year. I'm frankly amazed that big female baldy is around, especially after the cold snap we've just come through. You would have thought that she would have bugged out, gone closer to the coast where it's a lot warmer than up here. So, hey. Okay. Everything's good. Everything's fine.
Excellent. Yes, we're all good. Yeah, we were just saying that there was an eagle flying by in the neighborhood, and we had to tell them politely, please fly somewhere else.
Now, how do we do that? We clap our hands, or in this case, what I do is I use something called a bear banger. All it is it's a little silk enclosed package of gunpowder with a striker on the end. You let it go, it just shoots off. It makes this big loud bang.
Completely
bright,
harmless.
You're not shooting it at the eagle. You're shooting it sort of, and it doesn't travel that far, really.
Yeah.
She was way away from us, but what I wanted her to associate is, oh, those big bangy noises happened again. I don't like that. It kind of freaks me out. I'm going to go away and make the big bangy noises sort of be behind me somewhere.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, so does it scare the birds as well?
Oh yeah, that's what we were reacting to
birds,
because
well, they were freaking out.
Yeah, they scream. They have a danger, danger. Will Robinson kind of call that they make.
Our little guard.
Well, and Scirocco.
Scirocco,
yeah.
Cool. So I guess we'll answer a couple of the questions that we had from before. I think what they were saying was what were they saying? Well, we have some here. Let's do these ones. Ronnie asked in our previous video, do we put bells on team feathers? And what's your opinion about bells?
Bells are awesome. Bells are the ancient form of telemetry, really. And as I've talked about in previous videos, and we'll find the link for that so that you can link back and see where we talk about that a little bit. Traditionally, you would have a muse of, hi Dale, a dozen, maybe 2 dozen different birds, different species of birds, and every single one of them would have his or her own unique tonally perfect bells on their legs. So if one of them was scratching in the night, the apprentice who was up in the top of the loft freezing their butt off, because that's what part of their job is to check on all the feathered ones during the course of the night. If one of them was scratching in the night and that person came awake enough to hear it, they'd be going, oh, that's the big goss that's ringing her bells right now, or that's his lordship's golden eagle that's ringing his bells right now. They would know the individual sounds of all the bells on each of the individual birds. Bells as an adjunct to using telemetry or GPS is fantastic, because your bells don't need batteries, right?
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, it's great. Bells are awesome.
Okay, so Yanni asked, do we feed them beef? And I guess maybe you want to touch on what their diet consists of.
Sure. So yes, beef, grass-fed. Okay, so we're talking about happy cows that lived out in the fresh air and in grassland before they were turned into lunch for people. This is a natural food source for beef. You don't want beef, even for yourself, that's been grain-fed, because that's not natural fodder for cattle. You want grass-fed beef, and if you can put your hands on it, and yes, it's going to be a little more expensive, get yourself grass-fed organic. So that means that the grassland has been certified organic. It's never been sprayed with anything, or hasn't been for many, many, many decades before this particular farmer took over the property. And so the grass is just growing naturally based on the poop that the cattle from the previous year left there, and just natural tilling and all that sort of thing. So beef is perfectly fine. Not often. It's a good treat. It's very rich. If you give them that, and of course 60 grams of beef and 60 grams of quail, they're bringing a big chunk of that back in the form of the pellet, right? And any part of the bone and cartilage that their body didn't store for use later on for their own skeleton and for the building of new feathers, right? So they're not actually eating 60 grams of the quail. They're probably only getting, say, 2/3, 3/4 of that, and a big chunk of it's being shot away. Whereas 60 grams of beef, they're eating all of that, all of it. And yes, they're still going poo, but because they're getting that huge infusion of protein, they're storing it. Trust me, they're storing it.
They definitely do. All right, let's take a look. See. Oh, Reese. Oh, hello, Reese.
Hey.
So they gave us a super chat earlier. So thank you very
Nice,
much
thank
for
you.
doing that. We really appreciate it. I have a 20-year-old Jersaker. Do you have any advice about getting an old bird flying again? Nope.
Okay.
What advice do we have?
Okay. There's something coming up. You'll understand why I'm not going to relate it to something specific to us. Okay. What I will say is, have you had your 20-year-old his or her whole life, or did you just obtain them? That would be my first question. Realize that a 20-year-old Jersaker is like a 100-year-old
Little old
human
man.
being, right? They're more fragile. It's going to take them longer to heal from any injuries. Growing down feathers, feather shafts are going to be more fragile. So we have to be mindful of that in terms of supplementation in the diet, like powdered supplements. Good, well-sourced powdered supplements to put in, and not too much, because their digestive system is going to need to be nursemaided along a little bit more than, say, a 2-year-old Jersaker. It depends on how long it's been since he or she was flying. If they have been in for breeding, say, for the last 10 years, 12 years, they've been flying around in their breeding chambers, so they've been getting some low-level exercise. They've been keeping active. But if this is years old, then we're looking at a whole host of challenges. And now we need to establish how well can he or she see, pretty good eyesight. How much muscle do they have on their frame? Do you feel like they get winded really, really easily?
Are they standing up straight?
Are they standing up nice and tall, or do they tend to hunch
broken?
like a little old man? This sort of thing. There's some specifics to this that I would need to clarify with you.
Definitely. So if you want to comment back, then we can help you out further, Kaylee. Okay, all is well. Yes, we're okay here.
Everything's good.
Started to mention my comment about handling on the glove experience before the incident. Yeah, so there's a lot of places, like a lot of centers and stuff like that, that will allow you to do falconry experience and stuff like that. Maybe something near you. We were saying earlier, if you go back in the live stream, I believe it maybe 15 minutes in, we were talking about how you can kind of still do falconry well seated.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
go back to that other one.
go back to the replay, Richard, and
It should be up probably in about an hour or
Yeah.
two. It's an hour-long video, so it might take a little bit, but we'll get there. Yeah. And then, Talina? I hope all's well. Flying in Alaska, we deal with eagles all the time, not fun.
Yeah.
Had a close call this
Yep.
hunting with a very hungry dragon. Yes. Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
Sabre got chased a number of times by bald
Yeah.
eagles out at the classroom in Cowichan Bay, and
Vancouver Island.
of course, when he was really, really fit,
Oh,
he went out of his
Bennett.
way to sort of taunt a
Bennett.
big female, and that's a funny story. I was running a half-day course. We were free-flying Sabre, and then as me demonstrating what it looks like when you're doing it full-on, and then what my students were doing, where they had learned a basic forward lure swing, and they were just bringing Yadi, the sacred falcon we used to have, into the lure from about, say, a couple 300 yards away. So she had a good head of steam by the time she was getting there, and they were getting a really good experience of, I didn't realize this is what it's like. So I'm free flying Sabre, off he goes, he's stooping the lure, he's gone scooting around. Here comes this great big bald eagle, the big queen bee, and he goes up in a tree, which is about 400 or 500 yards away from us. And he's doing this. Right? And the people that are with me that day is like, he's all right, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, he knows what he's doing. In my head, I'm going, you know what you're doing, right? Right? And literally, I kid you not, he's looking at the eagle. He's going, come on, you know you want it.
Gosh.
Come on, I'm right here.
Little attitude.
Come and get me. Come on. And she's coming in toward the tree, and he goes, see ya. And he just dives out of the tree, scoots around her, and comes speeding over to me for the lure, right?
Oh
Of course, she's got to go, no brakes, no brakes. And she's got to get her big body turned around. So she finally gets herself turned around. He's almost all the way back to me, and she's like, I got nothing on it.
No. Yeah.
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 But he was pretty full of himself. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, let's see. Which bird overall would you say is the best for falconry?
Do you mean
That's a toughie.
traditional falconry? Or, are we talking, do we like to hunt aerial quarry? Do we prefer to hunt things like hares and rabbits and squirrels and, how are
really
we talking
depends on
about
your
this? I mean,
preference.
if we're an eagle falconer, then we're hunting big stuff, right? Right up to and including deer. So, it depends on how you like to practice the art form in its traditional practice. It really goes to that. If you love long wings, stick with long wings. Stick with them. If you're into goss and coopers and things like that, stick with that. It really goes to my feathered one filling the blank. Right?
So she said, or he said, traditional and modern.
Traditional and modern, okay. So are you hunting ground quarry or are you hunting birds? Are you hunting ducks?
Oh, he has a
and
goss here in the UK. Oh, very
Oh,
interesting.
fantastic. So a goss is it's that perfect crossover hunting companion, right? So again, the goss, everything I've ever heard from people who are really experienced with goshawks is that they are awesome. They're the best because you can hunt anything with them, even a decent sized hare, right?
So one question was long wings. Long wings are considered falcons.
Yes.
Yes, that's what we're referencing when we say long wings.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so I have a question. Maybe we'll wrap up on this one unless anybody else has another question because we've been going for a little while here. But we want to create some more content for you. I have a question with regards to my hare's hawk. He flies perfectly to the glove and is overall joy to be around. However, he baits and tries to bite me every time I stroke his chest. Any ideas?
Use a feather. Use an old feather. Stroke him with a feather. There might be an association there. Have you had him all his life? Did somebody,
What's up, guys?
was someone a little bit cruel to him and he's got an association there that my fingers near my body mean trouble? But use a feather. This is what Middle Eastern falconers do. They actually don't like to touch their feathered ones with their hands because, of course, the oils and the sweat from our hands can be damaging to them. But if you're using the back of your hands from time to time, probably not doing too much harm to their feathers. But I would encourage you to take a feather that he molted out that's in nice shape and stroke his breast with that. Now he might, and Mo's done this when he's been in the right frame of mind. He just, don't touch me with anything, right? So if I stroke him with a feather, he'll grab a hold of the feather and I'm gonna teach this feather a lesson. So I just let him have the feather and let him beat it up and drop it on the ground and then look at me and kind of look like I'm not sure why I felt like I needed to do that.
What possessed me?
Why, what came over me? I don't know. But try a feather.
Yeah.
And then over time, try a smaller feather, like a shorter one. If he's allowing you to stroke him with a feather, stroke him over his head, across his cere, around his beak, over his shoulders with this nice long feather, tail feather, maybe a long flight feather. And over time, if that goes well, then shorten it down to maybe a secondary. Same thing, shampoo, rinse, repeat. He's enjoying that. It's all nice. It's wonderful. And now let's find a tertiary that's in good shape. It's even shorter again. Your fingers are even closer to him, right? Shampoo, rinse, repeat. If that keeps going well, then eventually, when you come in with the back of your fingers very lightly on his breast, he's going to go, oh, nothing bad is happening. This is actually quite pleasant. You're happy. I can see the expression on your face as you're looking at me. Win it. Win the trust. Win the privilege. Right? You'd feel a little bit weirded out if I just first laid eyes on you or we were just getting familiar with each other and I ran up to you and I just went, hey, how are ya? grabbed you by the cheeks, right? It's kind of an invasion of your space, to say nothing else of, talking totally inappropriate. So he just might have a sense of his personal space that says, I love you. I know that I can trust you. You'll have food on your glove for me. It's fun to go out and play with you and do following on and do a little hunting and stuff. But just don't touch me. They don't know where you've been, right?
Mm-hmm.
So win it. Win the space. Win the space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think there's a couple more.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's see.
I love Mo. We love Mo.
We love Mo too.
He is special. He's
Kevin
a good
says,
boy.
I'm back. Hello, Kevin.
Hooray!
All right. Oh, he said, but he did arrive at all bash ups. So no idea what happened for this 20 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so he could have been beaten up by nest mates, like brothers and sisters. He might have been put in a holding mews with another Harris that beat him up.
Or
It might have been that the person or an assistant to the person that you got him from is ham-handed and knocked him around on the glove.
You just never know.
You don't know, so as I say, take that time, win that space. Say, okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have forced myself on you. Is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's say it's one of his flight feathers or tail feather, and even that, he feels like your hand is too close to him. You can get feathers that are longer,
Mm-hmm.
and just do that. Get a nice long tail feather from a pheasant or something like that, and just that gentle, when you're quietly manning them in the evening, you're watching TV, the television's on, nice and quiet in the background, you're listening to some music, you've got an old rag laid down on the floor so you can capture all the presents that he's going to give you, and just sort of sit there quietly with him. The lights are a little dim, and just very gently with this nice long feather, and then over time, shorter feathers. If he gets to a point where he's kind of showing you a little bit of attitude, stay there for a while. Just stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the day's going to come. Now, the reason I can say this, my first peregrine Mistral had been abused before she came to me. Once I figured that out from all the things that she was telling me with her body language and behavior, because it was still early days for me, I'd only been doing it for a couple, 3 years. So I had to piece together what she was saying to me. But once I figured that out, it was like, okay, you to feel like I'm about to hurt you somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It took 11 months before I got to the point where she would let me stroke her on the breast. That day, I'm standing out in the garden in front of the cottage. You remember the cottage?
Mm-hmm.
And she just fed. We just had a great time out at the classroom. We came back, and I'm standing there with her before I put her back in her mews. And I just felt like, I think it's there. I think it's there. And I just very slowly started to bring my hand toward her. It was the first time that she hadn't started to lift her talons to defend herself. But she's watching me. I'm watching you. And I just sort of gently laid my fingers against her breast and just, good job today, sweetheart. That was wonderful. I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. And she's like, chin feathers, right?
Yeah.
And then I just stopped. I didn't get really pushy with her. It was just like, I just wanted to have this moment with you. Okay, it's time to pop you down for the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly but surely, Joseph, Raiden, I think Leah got there with her too.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the other helpers I had early days when I was first trying different things for educational outreach and collaborations that I was involved with. They were all able to slowly get there because I was able to explain to them how I did it, how I got there, and I said to them, just find that moment where it's nice and quiet and still, nothing really exciting or interesting is going on around you, and just go into that space, that calm, quiet, just want to be here with you, don't want to hurt you at all, right? And if she starts to show you like, then just respect it and say, it's okay, it's all right, we don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to let me do that right now, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we all got there.
Yeah.
She got broody, so she really wanted to be a mother, and I got suited for her, and it was a good match. So
Mm-hmm.
I was sad to see her go, but it was what she needed, so it was about her needs, not what I wanted.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Do we have any last minute couple of questions? I think we're gonna start logging off here.
What are some good beginner owl species?
Mm-hmm.
I always recommend when you're starting out, start with a larger bird. If you've got something like an elf owl, fragile as heck, guys. Okay, even something as big as a sawat owl. You know, nice little noodle, little drink of water guy. Not much bigger than that, really, right?
Yeah.
Still a bit on the fragile side. Go for something like a great horned, because they've got enough body mass and there's enough there to work with to learn the techniques of a cast, to learn how to get the food into the glove without them turning you into a pincushion, to learn that process of, you know, okay, I'm trying to get his weight into a certain place for a certain purpose or other. Start with an owl like that. I would encourage folks to stay away from snowy owls. Yes, they are stupefyingly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're nasty.
Oh no.
They're mean. Don't
Yeah.
do that to them. Don't do that to them. Don't do that to you. So,
Yeah, little feisty beings.
but something about the size of a great horned owl is a good beginner's owl to start out with. Like I say, I would tell you what I'm thinking of, but I want it to be a surprise. So,
Yes.
Couple more?
Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Enjoyed the live stream. Brilliant. She says, brilliant. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for that answer. I did see one question, from Kaylee. So this 20-year-old falcon has been with the breeder for 15 years. He's come to us for his retirement. I'm not wanting to push him. He was a little light at first, but otherwise strong and healthy, now gaining weight.
good. That's good.
That's amazing.
So then, Kaylee, very carefully, remembering that this is a little old man, very carefully get his weight into the place where you're seeing responsiveness to, he's anticipating you as he sees you coming toward him. He's jumping off his perch going, hey, you're here, food, yay, right? And then instead of feeding him on the glove, feed half of his portion on your glove and start to introduce him to a lure. Just let the lure go out in front of him and fall. Remember, little old man, and just let him jump off his perch on top of it. And then walk away and let him play with the lure and remember, oh, it's a good old days. I remember chasing these in my youth. You know?
Yeah.
And then, you've done that for a week or 2 weeks, right? Maybe, he's responding really quickly and he's going, yeah, lure, yay, yay. Okay, and then we can wean him off feeding any portion on the glove. Have 2 or 3 portions that you feed sequentially on the lure, where you're offering the lure in a nice slow swing for him, and let him jump off his perch and grab it, right? And then graduate him onto a creance. Now we want a nice soft lawn for an old man like that, right? Nice soft surfaces, nothing that when he lands. So if we have to wait till springtime where we get him there, and you've got a nice soft lawn that you haven't mowed that's been overdue, that's ideal, right? Creance line, old boy like this, try him with 15 or 20 feet. See how that goes. If he does okay, 20, 25, 30. I would not necessarily encourage you to contemplate getting him off the line, because at his age, if he gets out in the boonies, something is going to turn him into a meal, because he's just not going to be fast enough. He's not going to have the reflexes that he had in his youth to get out of the way in time. But this doesn't mean we can't have a little bit of fun in the garden on a nice soft lawn with 30, 40, 50 feet of line. And it'll bring back memories for him, and it'll be fun for you, and it'll be really wonderful footage for you to capture and share with all of us.
Yeah, we would love that, absolutely. Okay, let's see here. Richard's held the European eagle owl. Oh,
Nice.
European eagle owl. That's a beautiful size. He says barn owl is okay. Some good beginner. I'm just
A
making
barn
sure.
owl. A barn owl is a little small, as long as you have someone who's really quite experienced with the metrics of caring for a barn owl. I mean, they're lovely. They're lovely little beings. I adore them. If you're just starting out, though, those smaller the smaller birds of prey, your merlins, your kestrels, your elf owls, your burrowing owls, your anything like that, your sharpshins or sparrowhawks, anything like that, they can go down so fast. They can go down so fast. They're so fragile. And if you're not sure, if you don't have a lot of experience or background or someone coaching you that's right there, they're gorgeous. Just wait. Just get some skill under your belt. Just get a sense for how this is done with a medium-sized bird. I would say a barn owl, they're almost a rite of passage owl for people who are really into owls. So as long as you have a mentor who's really experienced, then yes, probably okay.
Excellent. Okay, so I think we're probably a little bit delayed. So people are saying thank you. Only found you guys last week. Fans for life. Matthew the Ancient Jursaker thanks you also. Oh,
Matthew.
Get in touch with us, Kaylee, because we'd love to talk about this further. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Bennett. Please do more lives. I've really enjoyed doing this and getting your knowledge. Amazing. We will. Absolutely.
Okay. Definitely. It's part of the plan. And
there's some big things coming.
Yes, we do.
Lots of stuff for this year. So we've got the Patreon. We have the little super duper special project coming along. We've got so many episodes, so many big reveals. We have the huge update with Pfeiffer coming.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We filmed that last night, and it's a little bit serious, but it needs
intense.
to be. So,
the subject matter requires it to be.
Definitely. But we've got some exciting ones and fun videos coming too.
Oh, some very fun videos.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that we will all have you rocking backwards in your chairs laughing with some of the things that we're going to do.
Go Pfeiffer! Yes! Pfeiffer is amazing. And we'll do lots of videos with them. So, I think that's it for now, guys. We will be back. For sure. We'll be back every single Sunday with a new episode. We've got so many postcard videos coming and everything like that. Just good luck for the next season. Yay! We're waiting for spring.
Yes.
So.
Or even once things start to settle down the back end of winter. There's so much is possible then. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. But this is from us. I can't even talk anymore. It from us today, guys. So thank you so much. I will leave these live streams up. They'll probably be up in the next day or so when I can get some good Wi-Fi and upload them all to the channel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks again, guys. Been great hanging out with you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See you all soon.
Otter. Bye. Bye, Charlotte.
Bye, Charlotte.
Bye, Kaylee. Bye,
Bennett.
Bye, Richard.
Bye. See you later, Richard.
Oh, yes, and the other Richard. We've got some Richards
See you
here.
again,
Charlotte. Goodbye, Charlotte.
See you, Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye, Cody.